Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras, here with ILTV's morning briefing. The rescue of 12 boys and their soccer coach trapped in a cave in Thailand has just become a race against the clock, as the group has been trapped in the cave system for over 2 weeks now. Israeli rescuers have joined an international team in an attempt to save the boys before incoming rains raise the floodwaters to deadly new heights. An emergency underwater rescue is now also underway. But to illustrate just how difficult and dangerous this process is, one rescue diver has already died while trying to run oxygen into the cave to help keep the kids alive. Rescue teams have struggled for days now to establish a safe way to extract the group from the destabilized cave system. But at this time, there appears to be a brief break in the weather, hopefully giving divers the calm they need to proceed with the difficult plan. This process is typically a last-ditch means of rescue, though, one made even more dangerous by the fact that none of the boys have any experience in diving. Each boy will need to be accompanied by 2 trained divers in order to navigate the complex twists and turns of the cave. This process takes something close to 11 hours, meaning that assuming the weather holds, a full rescue could still take days. Israeli leaders, innovators, and even ordinary citizens immediately responded to this crisis when the boys first went missing with their coach over 2 weeks ago. The Israeli Navy has advised Thai officials to go ahead with navigating the tricky underwater rescue. Additionally, an Israeli tech firm called Max Tech is also fueling the entire effort with its new cutting-edge relay communication system. Thanks to this system, which the team has donated, teams are able to talk and establish an escape route in the cave's complicated alleyways of twists and turns. But perhaps the most touching contribution to this rescue so far has been that of Rafael Arush and his son Shlomi, 2 ordinary Israeli citizens who rushed to lend a helping hand however they could. Rafael lives in Thailand now, and was so moved by the cries of the kids' parents that he knew he couldn't sit still. The Israeli Supreme Court has just issued an injunction against the planned demolition of the Bedouin village AL-AHMAR. The village is located between Israeli settlements Ma'ale Adumim and Kfar Adumim, both near Jerusalem, and according to Israeli officials, the structures are illegal and pose a security risk for their proximity to the highway. The demolition order came in May, but now the demolition itself has been suspended due to protests and arguments that residents face discrimination in trying to acquire building permits. The Bedouin families and their defense attorneys say that they were unfairly denied the permits. Further, the original plan was to relocate the village 12 kilometers away to a plot near Abu Dis. But not only is this new site right near a landfill, rights groups argue that the forcible transfer violates international law. The courts have given the state until July 11th to respond to these allegations. Until these issues are settled, the demolition order has been suspended. At least one more Palestinian was killed this weekend while participating in the now 4-month-long March of Return protest. The Gaza Health Ministry said that the 22-year-old victim died of shrapnel to his chest, following up that Israel allegedly shelled the protesters in that same area, causing 8 more injuries. Israel, on the other hand, claims that there was no shelling, but that instead a group of Palestinians were attempting to throw an explosive at soldiers when the bomb detonated early and injured the group. In fact, this week alone, the IDF reported 3,000 Palestinians across 5 different points along the Gaza-Israel border. They were allegedly throwing rocks, explosives, and burning tires, as well as other means to damage or breach the security barrier. 136 Palestinians have been reported killed since the demonstration began March 30th. Over this weekend alone, 400 were reported injured by the Gaza Health Ministry, 57 from live fire. Israel maintains, though, that there is nothing peaceful about the 3,000 rioting Palestinians on the border, and that Hamas is using the protests as cover for cross-border terror attacks. It looks like we may never learn the full details of United States President Donald Trump's plan for Middle East peace. That's because the White House has reportedly put the deal on the back burner following unified rejection from the Palestinians. The Trump administration instead may be switching gears and focusing on fixing Gaza in hopes of demonstrating its commitment to peace. Such a plan is easier said than done, though, as President Trump has apparently learned. His administration was initially optimistic that despite Palestinian anger towards the United States, he could bring them to the table with a yet unseen deal. The Palestinians all but severed ties with the current administration, however, following President Trump's decision to unilaterally recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. In an apparent response to the Palestinians' outrage, the White House slashed the bulk of its financial aid to the Palestinians' UN refugee agency, a move which seemingly only pushed them further from the table, though. Team Trump renewed its efforts to land the ultimate deal for peace in recent weeks, sending an envoy to lobby Arab and Gulf nations central to the conflict. During this time, there was not one sit-down between U.S. officials and any Palestinian leaders, however. An unnamed official in the White House has apparently admitted a certain degree of defeat here, telling the Washington Post that the strategy now has shifted to rehabilitating Gaza. The idea here would be to demonstrate United States' commitment to the Palestinian cause by helping solve the humanitarian crisis, hopefully rebuilding some much-needed trust. But such a plan would require full cooperation with both Israel and Egypt, who maintain a fierce blockade of all things in and out of the enclave. At this time, Israel has refused to change a thing until Hamas agrees to release the bodies of 2 IDF soldiers and 2 civilians currently being held in the Strip. This stalemate is just one of many obstacles, however, that Washington faces if it hopes to lay new track towards a lasting Middle East peace. Israeli Agriculture Minister Uri Ariel has now become the first minister to go to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem since Prime Minister Netanyahu lifted the 3-year-old ban. Ariel, who is from the Jewish Home Party, came to the holy site just after visitation for non-Muslims began at 7 a.m. The ban against parliamentarians entering the site was put in place in efforts to quell tensions on the Mount and keep the peace. But now, Netanyahu has announced that legislators will be allowed a permit to go once every 3 months. Minister Uri Ariel and many others praised the decision but said it didn't go far enough, as Jews are still forbidden from praying at the site, which is the holiest place for Jews and the 3rd holiest for Muslims. Arab MKs, on the other hand, largely saw the lifting of the ban as a provocation and rejected it outright, saying they will ignore the visitation limits as they already have been. That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.